EMC's Unity product line sets new standards for storage by offering compelling simplicity, a modern design, affordable pricing, and flexible deployments, all to meet the needs of resource-constrained IT professionals. With simplified ordering, all-inclusive software, differentiating features, internet-enabled management, and modern design, Unity is where power meets simplicity. This short video will bring you through all the steps necessary to easily install your Unity system. You'll be ready to start provisioning storage in just a matter of minutes. Your new system will arrive in a white box marked on the side with the Unity logo. You can easily identify the main disk processor enclosure by locating the white box with the Open Me First sticker. But before we get to unpacking everything, let's take a minute to review what you'll need to get started. Prior to your install, contact your network administrator or electrician to ensure the location you plan on installing the new Unity system is equipped with enough network drops and the proper power requirements. You can find detailed specifications for the Unity system on EMC online support. If you don't have a support account, this is also a great time to create one, as this will be needed later when activating your system. For the Unity install, you'll need the following, which is not included with the system. One Phillips head screwdriver with a magnetic tip makes handling of screws easier. One box knife to open the shipping packaging, 2 Cat5 or better cables for management, and 2 network cables for host connectivity, whether you're using iSCSI or Fiber Channel. In addition, you'll need proper power connectivity depending on the requirements of your site and the type of system you ordered. Refer to EMC online support for more information. One IP address for management access and any additional IP addresses for host connectivity. 2 U of space for your main disk processor enclosure, and if you purchase more disk array enclosures, you need additional space in your cab to accommodate the install. Lastly, we recommend to have a second person assist you with safely lifting the system and sliding into your cabinet, as the system may be heavy. You can find the Quick Start Guide and a Unity installation guide containing these requirements, along with other useful information at the following link. To start the install, first take a look at the location where you'd like to install the system. For this install, you will need exactly 2 rack units of space to fit the enclosure. A rack unit, or U, is a measurement used to define the height of common electronic enclosures. A U is typically measured to be 1.75 inches and usually indicated by markings on your cab, but this will vary based on the type of rack you are using. For this install, our rack is indicated by numbers labeled on the inside rails of the cabinet. Now that we know where we'd like to install our system, let's open the box. You'll notice that the first item you'll see is the Quick Start Guide. This document shows how to quickly and successfully install your Unity system. However, since you're using this video for reference, you can place the document to the side and follow along with us here. If at any point you need to look back at the previous step, you can always refer to the guide or just simply rewind this video to the section you need. The next thing you'll notice in our box is the field kit. Let's take a look at what's inside this kit along with everything else in the box. In this video, we're installing a 25-drive Unity 600 all-flash system that is set up for AC power. In the box, we will find 2 power cables, one black, one gray, a set of snap-in rails, 6 screws, an environmental compliance note along with a quick start guide mentioned previously, the Unity bezel along with the bezel key, an ESD strap, which will be used when servicing the system while it is powered on, and of course, your Unity system. When removing the system from the box, we recommend help from another person as the system may be heavy. Although we are installing a 25-drive Unity system, if you ordered a 12-drive system, you will receive the same components. We will start by looking at our snap-in rails and determining how they will be oriented in the rack. Each rail is labeled with an R or L engraving to show which is for the right and left side. Let's start with the left rail. As you'll see, the front of the rail is engraved with an L. You notice the rail is correctly oriented when the bottom lip of the rail is facing the inside of the cab. Likewise, the right side is engraved with an R on the front, and the bottom lip will also face the inside of the cab. First, we recommend you install the enclosure in the lowest available location in your cab. This helps for balancing the weight in the cab and ensures you have proper spacing when installing additional enclosures in the future. We will now approach the cab and start installing the right rail from the rear. Use the U markings on the rack to help align the rails and keep them level. Start by grabbing and extending the right rail. This helps when snapping the rail into the rear of the cab. It is also easiest to use the bottom of the cab or the top of other enclosures to help keep the rails straight and level. Simply slide the rail into the rear mounting holes until the spring clips snap into place on the outside of the rear rack channel. Continue to push the rail until you feel it snap into place. We also have 2 alignment pins that are securely in place, and lastly, 1 threaded hole which you use for a screw to really make sure the rail stays put. If your rail doesn't look like ours here, simply unclip the rail and make sure you're aligning properly with the U marks we talked about earlier. Now we are going to install the left side rail. Following the same steps we did before, install the rail using the same U marks. Push the rail into the rear mounting holes until the spring clips snap into place on the outside of the rear rack channel. Secure the rails in place using one of the provided M5 screws for each rail. From the rear of the cab, the threaded hole on the left is located on top, and on the right side, the threaded hole is located on the bottom. Now that we have the back of the rails installed and securely in place, let's move on to the front of the cab. Continuing to use the top of the other enclosures as a guide, we can simply slide the rails forward until we reach the cab's rail. In the event that we don't have an enclosure to use as a guide, we can use the same 22 and 23 U mark that we referenced from the rear of the cab. If your cab doesn't have any numbering, you may need to manually count the U marks to ensure you're installing your rails level at the same height as the rear. Start by sliding the rails forward and pushing the spring clip in to secure around the rack's channel. When the spring clip is in front of the channel and the adapters in the mounting holes, release the spring clip so it holds the rail in place. Let's finish off the rail install by installing the right rail from the front of the cab. As a guide, we use the same 22 and 23 U mark that we referenced earlier. Let's make sure the holes on the rail line up with the holes on the cabinet, and the clip is engaged around the cab's channel. This will ensure proper alignment of the rails. As seen here, the rail on the left is properly aligned with the holes in the cab, while those on the right are not. Also, if your rail is not fully clipped around the channel of the cab, push in the spring clip to engage it around the channel. To avoid any injuries or damage to the equipment, we recommend that you do not attempt to lift and install the enclosure into a rack without a mechanical lift or help from another person. Lift the disk processor enclosure and slide it onto the rails we just installed. Continue to push the enclosure all the way in until it's fully against the vertical channel of the cabinet. We will now secure the enclosure to the front of the vertical channels of the cabinet with the remaining 4 screws. We will insert 2 in the bottommost holes on the left side and 2 in the bottommost holes on the right side. The top holes are not threaded, so we will not be inserting a screw. When inserting the screws, it's easiest to keep them loose until all 4 screws have been started. At that point, you can go back and tighten them all with your screwdriver. Now that our system is fully installed, we are going to locate and record the product serial number tag on the front of the disk processor enclosure chassis. We are going to use this number to discover the system and connection utility, which is a tool used to configure our system with the correct network information. On this system, our product serial number is located on the top of the tag below the power status LED and next to drive slot 16. This can be recorded in the space available on your quick start guide. You can also snap a picture with your phone for quick reference later. If you are installing a 12-drive enclosure, the product serial number is just as easy to find. It is located on the underside of the top edge near the right side of the disk processor enclosure. In order for us to access the system over the network, we are going to connect our Unity system to the switch we already had our network administrator set up for us. Starting with the bottom half of the system, also known as storage processor A, we are going to connect 2 Cat5 or better Ethernet cables from our switch to the RJ45 management ports at the rear of the system. The management ports have a white border around them. We will also need to connect the top half, also known as storage processor B, to the network for redundancy purposes. In the event that one storage processor goes down, we will still be able to manage our system over the network. We are also going to cable our Unity system for host connectivity. In our setup, we are going to utilize the onboard 10 gigabit Ethernet ports for host connectivity. Your setup may vary. With the Unity system, you have the ability to order your system with different port configurations for the onboard Converged Network Adapter, also known as CNA ports, and the option to order different I/O modules. Again, for redundancy purposes, we will connect port 2 on both Storage Processor A and Storage Processor B to our switch. We are now ready to get the system powered on. It doesn't matter which side we start with. You'll notice that the power cables come in two different colors, black and gray. This is to help differentiate the power cables for each storage processor. We will start by inserting a power cable into each storage processor. Once we insert the cable into the storage processor, we will then secure it in place using the provided cable clips. Now that the cable is securely plugged into the enclosure, we can plug the other end into our cab. It is recommended that one storage processor be plugged into one power strip on the cab, and the other storage processor be plugged into a separate power strip. In the event of power loss to one power strip, the enclosure will remain powered on. Secure the power cable in place using the cab's cable clips. At this point, the system will begin to power on and go through its boot sequence. You can monitor the power up using the LED indicators on the rear of the system. The green LED indicates that the enclosure is powered on, and the fault LED will show the various stages of the boot sequence. Here's a quick breakdown of what the LED sequence will tell us. When the LED sequence shows alternating amber and blue colors, this indicates that we are ready to assign a management IP address using connection utility. Before we look at connection utility, we have one last part to install, the bezel. This step is optional, as you may be installing this into a rack with a front door. If you'd like to attach the bezel, simply place the bezel on the clips attached to the front of the enclosure and push in to secure it in place. Since our system is accessible over the network, we can now spend a few minutes to finish the rest of the install from the comfort of our office. After you download and install connection utility from InfoHub or EMC Online Support, launch the application from a host or VM on the same subnet as your Unity system. Auto-discover is a quick method to discover and assign network information to your Unity system on the same subnet. Manual configuration allows you to create a configuration file and save it to a USB drive. It can be then inserted into the back of the system for automatic configuration. This method can be used when local network access is limited. For this video, we are using Auto-Discover. Connection utility is searching the local network for unconfigured Unity systems, or systems previously configured by a user or DHCP and the end-user license agreement has not been accepted. The network information for those systems can then be changed. And as you can see, here is the discovered Unity system we just racked. We will select our system and move to the next step. Here, you can specify a friendly name as well as network information to access the Unity system. Below, you will notice options for IPv4 and IPv6 protocols. For our system, we are specifying a static IPv4 address and its associated network information. For our environment, we do not have IPv6 available, so we'll disable access to that protocol. We will click Next to show a summary of what we just defined. Once we confirm the information is correct, we will click Configure to assign the network information to the system. This step will take just a few minutes to complete. Once the network information is configured, the utility provides an easy access button to open Unisphere and start the initial configuration wizard. The initial configuration wizard walks you through the steps to install licenses, configure network settings, create storage, and manage your alerts and support options. If you receive a certificate error when trying to access Unisphere, refer to your Internet browser instructions to either bypass the error or to install the self-signed system certificate. Here is the login for Unisphere. The default username is admin, and the default password is the word password with a capital P followed by 123#, which you will change when you first log in. That was quick. Now that the system is racked, cabled, and configured, you can now log into Unisphere and create storage by pointing to the IP address with your favorite internet browser. Unity is where power meets simplicity. For more details on using the wide range of features available on Unity, either refer to the online help which is available throughout Unisphere, or refer to the various white papers, videos, and other documentation available on EMC Online Support or on Unity Info Hub.